Okay, so part 2. We're back to this beginning now, and you can see that I'm pretty dead on if you watch. See how this part right here is lined up perfectly. And now I'm going to finish this. Now I'm going to start my next little fan. And so I'm going down. To the end. I'm going to backtrack up and then back down. Also note that on this stylus, if you have any play, make sure that you're pulling the stylus towards the same side each time. So I tend to pull mine towards the right so that it's riding against this outside edge here. The tendency is to sometimes go to the inside, sometimes the outside, and you'll get some wobble. So you know, if you concentrate on that with practice, you'll have that down. So I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to be watching my stitching so that I'm getting right on, and that's where you have a little bit of play in that stylus. Use it to your advantage. And now I'm going to come back up. I'm going to overshoot that first little loop, backtrack, and I'm going to come up. The reason that I'm doing that is so that I set myself up to come on an up on this last round. That's why we're doing it that way. So you can see, here we go. Once you get a rhythm, you'll see how quickly you can do this band. Backtrack up and down. And I'll let you watch while it stitches, so that you can see that portion of it. You can see that it's stitching quite nicely. No effort at all. I'm backtracking up. I'm going down. And now this is my last arc. You can see I'm almost to the end. So I'm just going to watch where I'm going. And the tendency is to watch the topper itself, but really you should be watching your quilt top and your stitching to see where you're on, because that's how you're going to fudge it in if you need to. And the stylus knows what it's doing, so let it do the work. Now you can see that here I'm at the end, so what I would do is lift up my stylus and then come straight up. You can see here I'm coming straight up on the stitching. Up, it plops. You can hear it drop down, and now I can go back down. I'll show that one more time. I'm on my last up here, and so I'm getting to the end, and I'm right to the end. So that was actually my last round. So we're good to go there. So I'm just going to end this. I'm going to raise my stylus, and I'm going to cut my thread. Okay, so now I need to line up again for my next round. So I'm going to drop my stylus down into that uppermost part. I'm going to put my needle down. So my needle's down, my stylus is in the upper bar, the one that we did not stitch in. If you look here on the quilt, you can see that there's no stitching there. It's just where I would have stitched had I stitched. So now I'll take the stylus up, I'll move my clamps, this side, and we're going to advance the quilt. So again, as I'm advancing, I'm watching my stylus, and I'm watching to see when it advances till it's almost at the bottom, and right before it gets there, I'll drop my stylus back down, because if you dropped it before then, you wouldn't be able to move. So I'm going to go down, and you're going to see it, just see how it just drops right in there. So now I'm going to lock this back down. I'm going to put my side clamps back on, like this. Okay, and let's see how close we get. Sometimes you get lucky and you get the first try, and sometimes you got to fudge it a little bit. So now you can see, well, hopefully you can see, that I'm way off here, which means that I have to reverse it a little bit till I get that line back where I need to get it. So I'm going to just reverse a little bit, and I'm getting it. Now that's almost dead on. I'm going to bring my needle down close to the fabric because I tend to have that needle right down there so that I can see how close is it stitching. It's still just a smidge off, so I'm rolling my bar to get it lined up. And now I'm going to test it to see if I'm still dead on the next. And it looks like I am. So I'm going to go all the way down to the end. And I'm going to start stitching again. So again, remember that on this first one, we have to stitch this little part to fill in this part. So I'm going to tie on my thread. And lock my stitches. Just like that. Put my stitch regulator on. And again, I'm going to stitch it the same way that I would. So I'm coming up that first one, off, and I'm going off the quilt. I'm coming up, I'm doing my up, and this is my last one, because remember I skipped this last one. I'm going to go down now, and I'm ready to start my round. So now I'm just going to start stitching like I normally would. I'm going to go past that first mark, backtrack, and stitch it just like I would, and hopefully everything is lining up here on my stitching. And so you can see now that I'm just about right on with my stitching. The stylus is in place and it's stitching. I'm going to do this last one. See how it backtracked perfectly. And now I'm just coming up to do my last part. I'm gonna backtrack up to the top and then all the way down. Now when I get this all the way down, I'm lined up perfectly with this one stitched in the previous row. So I'm going right down to here, and I should be going up now, and it's right on. See how that connected perfectly right there? That's what you're looking for. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I'm back at that first one. I'm going down. I'm going to backtrack up and down. And you really get a rhythm of this. You just got to relax and let that stylus do the work. I'm going to backtrack to the top and down. Okay, again, I'll show it one more time. See how this is off a little bit? That's where I was telling you to be cautious of which side that you ride on. And I was riding towards the other, and that's why I ended up with that little gap. So it does make a difference. Okay, and now I'm right on to the previous row of stitching. I'm going to complete that little part and back again. And that's all there is to using the topper to complete a Baptist band. You would do that all the way across, and before you know it, you'll have a whole quilt done. Now let's say that I'm out of board. I'm not. I'm going to stop with my needle down, and I've just got my stitch regulator still on, and I hit the control and the blue button. Now I'm going to take my board. Let's just pretend that I'm at this end of the board. Okay, and I'm ready to go off. All you do is lift this out. Remember that I'm at that beginning point, so what I want to do is move the board down till I'm at the other beginning point. So I'm just going to take my topper, lift the end on the front roller, and I'm going to slide it slowly down. As I get close, I'll pop that stylus down, and it'll go right into the groove. And then I'm right dead on again where I need it to be. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of playing with it to get it exactly where you want it, and you might have to fudge it a little bit. And so now I'm going to hit my control blue button, start my stitch regulator again, and see if I'm dead on. Now I should be right at this point where the previous stitching, and I see that I'm a little bit off. I'm like maybe 2 threads ahead, so that means that I need to pull this topper just a little bit more. So I'm just moving it slightly till I'm right on. Now I'm right on. You can see that my stitching is right where I ended previously, and I finish that up. And I just start stitching again. That's all there is to it. And that's the end. You go all the way to the end, and you just keep scooching that board along until you get your quilt done from side to side, and then you roll again and start forward. Again, I'm going to backtrack up and down. Every once in a while you'll forget to do one of these backtracks. Don't worry about that. Just take your stylus out and do it free motion to fill in the gaps. And that's all there is to using the topper.